The Breakfast of Champions. Well, greetings, pipe pals. Old Holy Smoking Pipe Padre here with a little review of the 50-year-old half and half, which was given to me as a wonderful little gift by Olivier Homewaters 1. I'm here to tell you that the aroma of this tobacco is absolutely almost divine. I guess I can say that. Sometimes people think priests have a unique connection to God, and well, I hate to say this, don't mean to burst any bubbles there, but we're just like anybody else, and you know, sometimes people think I, you know, exude this great spirituality, and that's, you know, and certainly I'm not trying to dismiss the graces of the sacrament of ordination, or diminish those graces, but in a real sense, I tell people, and some people get a little, I guess, a little put off when I say this, I just work for the man, you know. But anyway, so my point in being, saying all that, is that this 50-year-old half and half is exquisite. It's delicious, nutty, flavorful, kind of a creamy, almost like a little creamy topping on the whole thing. And it's a great breakfast morning pipe. This is my breakfast on Saturday mornings. So. Well, this is going to be a little reflection on Father's Day. And some of you may not want to watch, and some of you might care to hear what my cocktail lounge theology is on all this. But I'm kind of smoking this pipe with this half and half in honor of old pipe pops. I think it's kind of fitting. And although this is not meant to be an explicit tribute to John, I want to say I do miss him, as we all do. But I thought of, you know, fathers today, as we're talking about fathers this weekend, Father's Day. And what is it about fatherhood? You know, when I was growing up, I think, well, it was actually, when I was growing up, everything kind of changed. You know, there was a sense of dads were kind of the autocratic rulers of the home. And it could be kind of imperious and unforgiving. Pretty black and white. Usually the disciplinarians, wait till your father gets home. You know, in other words, hell's coming, you know, the law's coming and hell's coming with him kind of thing. You know, if you were out of line, you know, your mom would usually resort to that. You know, wait till your father gets home line. Now, that's kind of the negative way of looking at fathers, but there was also kind of an idealistic way of looking at fathers as being rugged and strong and dependable and fair. You know, dad's fair. So, you know, you think of the Norman Rockwell paintings around the 40s, 50s, 60s. And, you know, they show men being kind of, you know, idealistic, you know, kind of leaders and captains of industry. Guys, you know, we were, you know, coming back from the World War II, they were the strong, silent types, the John Wayne types. You know, right was right, wrong was wrong, and that's all you needed to know. Yep. But sadly, that whole image gave way to a whole new way of seeing men as kind of comical buffoons, irrelevant, unnecessary. And what, by the way, I'm listening to this. I love this little ditty. Some of you probably cringe when you hear me say Diddy. I always thought this was an Italian composer until I found out just last night, and I was shocked. You know who this is? Some of you already know who this is. This is Schubert. You know, Franz Schubert's Arpeggione Sonata in A minor. But I just love this little refrain that it has. It's so playful and lilting, and you can kind of see yourself, either yourself or other people, skipping around. You know, it's wonderful. Very lighthearted. But anyway, so my reflection on fathers, being called father is a title, is you know, I think in between the two extreme, or the two ideals, you know, or maybe not ideals, you know, rugged, silent type, you know, buffoon, irrelevant type man. But in between those two extremes, shall we say, I think we find reality. And part of the reason why I think men or fatherhood is kind of not held in the same esteem as it once was, and this gets a little difficult to say this, but it's true, is that men as fathers have let people down. Now, before you click the thumbs down button, or before you fire off a nasty comment, just be patient with me and listen to what I have to say. I'm not talking about being a jerk. It's not what I'm talking about. Now, some guys can be, you know, grade A, you know, okay, and they can be jerks. And there's no doubt that many men have hurt families, women, children, innocent, you know, victims, bystanders in crimes. And women have too, but not to the extent that men have. So there's a lot of brokenness, shall we say, that some men have done to others, and unfortunately, you know, because we're associated with all men, we have to wear the labels too, or we have to kind of, you know, get some of the backsplash of the guck that comes from their misdeeds. As tragic as that is, I don't think that's why people, you know, have a low opinion of fatherhood and say of a masculine way of looking at life. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's, and this is the thing that kind of makes me kind of go, well, what's going on with this? This doesn't make sense. You know, the guy didn't do anything wrong. Well, here's what happens. A lot of times, it's not what a guy does, a man does, that holds him up for contempt and derision and ridicule. It's the things that he doesn't do. And on one hand, most of you will understand that makes sense, but to some people, what do you mean by that? If you didn't do anything wrong, then why do people have a low opinion of fatherhood and maybe masculinity? I have found in my life that it's not the things that I've done by way of being negative. It's the things that I failed to do. You know, in the old Catholic, well, not in the old Catholic rite, we say it even now in the new rite of Mass. You know, through my most grievous fault, and what I have done and what I have failed to do. A lot of times we look at our misdeeds as active things that we've done wrong to others, or, you know, sins we've committed. But I'll tell you, I think the thing that really hurts people, and you would say, well, that shouldn't hurt anybody at all. That's their problem. Well, I kind of, in some ways, I agree. But it's when you don't do something that people expect you to do. And maybe by rights you should be maybe doing this. Maybe you should. Maybe you have no obligation. But some people may feel that you have an obligation to do something that you didn't do. Let me give you a case in point. One of the most bitter lessons I learned shortly after I got ordained 20 years ago. I had just gotten to my first assignment at Holy Spirit in Fairfield. Most of my assignments were Holy Family, Holy Rosary, and Holy Spirit. So if I ever become a pastor and I get to build a church, I'm going to call it Holy Cow. Okay. That was a freebie. Okay. So I got there, and 2 weeks after I'd been there, I just was ordained a few weeks earlier, and I get to my new parish assignment, and I knew I was going to have to work hard. You know, I'm the new guy. Wasn't expecting anything less than that, and I clearly accepted it. I was eager. I was eager to jump in with both feet, the deep end. Let's go. Well, my little Irish pastor, Father Lanigan, no. He's going now. He says, well, no, I'm going to County Tipperary now for my vacation. Hey, you're in charge. God love you, no. I'm in charge? I have no clue what I'm doing here, except I'm going to say Mass, I'm going to hear confessions, try to help people the best I can, but to now run this parish without ever doing something like that, and you're giving me the keys to the kingdom? Well, okay, so I went, all right, I guess this is the way they do things here. I mean, well, I didn't know. So he went off to County Tipperary for his month-long vacation, leaving me, little humble old me, in charge. Well, you know, I think he left on a Thursday, and so that weekend was a beautiful summer weekend, kind of like it is today. It's going to be warm, summer, hot day today here in Northern California. And so I was saying all the masses. We had like 4 or 5 masses on Sunday. So we had the 7:30, the 9, I think the 10:30, and the 12 noon or 1 o'clock. I can't remember. There was 4 of them. I can't remember the exact same time, what the schedule was. But I do remember that the first one was 7:30 and the next one was at 9 o'clock. So just got through saying the 7:30, greeting all the folks. It's now 8:30, got 25 minutes until the next Mass. So I'm kind of clearing my mind, trying to, you know, formulate my little homily that I'm going to give, and again, but trying to kind of synthesize it, distill it, make it a little less cumbersome and cluttered. And so I'm walking outside, and a young woman comes up, really pretty young girl, maybe college age, 19 years old. And she says, "Oh, Father, I'm so glad I found you." I'm thinking, wow, that's kind of nice. Somebody's glad they found me. It doesn't happen every day. And she goes, "You have to come with me to the hospital right now. My grandmother's dying." And I said, "Well, I would love to, but unfortunately, I have to say Mass at 9 o'clock. I only have 25 minutes. I said, in fact, I'm saying all the Masses today. Father Lanigan's gone. I mean, you know, too much information for her. It's like, hey, you're a priest. You need to come and give last rites to my grandmother now." And I said, "Well, I can't do that because I have to say the Mass." And she goes, "Well, what's so important about that? My grandmother's dying. You need to come with me." In other words, her need was greater than the need to celebrate Mass for the parishioners. And try as I might, I could not explain to her that it wasn't important and I didn't care, but there was just no way I could do that. I just couldn't do that. You know, the one thing you cannot do is cancel a Mass, you know. Now, to some of you who are not Catholic, you think, well, that's kind of cold-hearted. This person had a great need. Well, yes, but under Catholic understanding of the Mass, and you know, you have to provide the Sunday Mass so that people can fulfill their obligations. So it was a matter of one person versus hundreds of people. And I said I wasn't saying no to her request at all. I said, "Look, I can be there around 1:30 or 1 o'clock at the earliest, and I will come." And she just walked away angry. Says, "What good are you? What good are you?" she said. And she just walked away angry and upset. And so I used that illustration to show that I didn't do anything wrong. It's just that I wasn't able to do what they wanted me to do at that time. And I dare say that one of the reasons why whether priests or fathers, are sometimes vilified is because we don't maybe jump when we are expected to jump, or do what we're expected to do when people expect us to do it. I have a dear friend who is a very good man, but the problem was that his former wife wanted him to give her a $1.6 million house. And my friend didn't make that kind of money. I suppose back, when this happened 10, 12 years ago, he could have probably got himself mortgaged way more than he could ever repay. But then credit was pretty cheap and easy to get. And they were giving out these ridiculous mortgages to people who had no ability to ever pay such a mortgage. Yeah, just sign here. Yeah, there you go. Here's your keys. Have a nice life. See if you can make the payments now. And so he said, I can't afford that. And she then threatened, if you don't give me that house, I'm going to divorce you. This is a Christian girl, by the way. And he said, darling, honey, sweetie pie, you're asking me to try to give you something I can't give. So 3 months later, he got served with divorce papers. Now I'm going to step out on a limb here, but I think that's the way it is with a lot of people when it comes to a belief in God. We kind of look at God as kind of like this little genie in a lamp, or more like a grandfather, a sugar daddy. Oh God, please give me my new Lexus, give me my new Dunhill pipe. Got to make it personal. And we have unrealistic expectations, and so we kind of begin to say, well, God let me down. God didn't answer my prayer. God was absent. And I think that that's where a lot of us as men get into trouble. Isn't our misdeeds, but it's our non-deeds. When people expect us to be acting and we aren't able to, or we fail to. Sometimes their expectations of us are unrealistic, plain and simple. And there are sometimes that their expectations are genuine and legit, and we should try to certainly accommodate and help and be there. One of the things that I think that a lot of men are, I know I'm guilty of, is maybe not being present when I should be. And it's not for maybe the important things that I think are important, obviously saying Mass, hearing confessions, baptisms, opening the church on Sunday morning. That's pretty important. But it's the other little things too. I mean, sometimes at the end of the day, when somebody invites you to a dinner, especially when you're on a juice fast, right, Jay? It's hard to say no because you're trying to do something good. Let me take this. This probably is exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, and then the last thing, I guess this ties in, is with fatherhood. And something that Jay said just the other night, and I think it's very true, and I've seen some of the newer pipe presenters are kind of echoing in some form that what Jay says is true, is that, this is a welcoming community. Kind of unusual, but as pipe smokers, we pipe smokers, and again I include all pipe smokers, old and young, new and old, and male and female, we do tend to be a very open and welcoming little community here, and we try to be gentlemen and ladies. And we try to be respectful and courteous, and most of us do that, probably in our real lives. And Jay said that, and I want to say this is true, if you ever have a problem, you're really going through, a rough patch in your life, believe it or not, there are people, I believe, and I've experienced, that can actually, part of this digital community, you can actually reach out to and say, I need to, need some help. Can you give me some advice here? Can I talk to you about this issue? You know, now you wouldn't do it on maybe a public video, but you can certainly do it on a little PM message. And I know a lot of guys like to Skype, at least they used to. So the thing is that, as I said, you know, being there for people, I think is one of the most important things that you can do. You can't do it with everybody all the time, but you make an attempt to do the best you can. And sometimes you let people down. That's what we do. I mean, that's the human condition. I can't be in two places at once. But I try to suit up and show up to the best of my ability every day. Whether it's making a video for you folks, or trying to help somebody out in the parish, or answering a phone call, you know, I just do the best I can. And I try to, you know, leave the results to God, you know, or my higher power, whatever you want to call him. Anyway, so I hope you all have a great Father's Day. If you have your dad with you still alive, and you can call him and say, hey, Dad, just want to call and say, I love you. Or, thanks for being there. Maybe it's a time to kind of maybe let go of some of the regrets that you have. You know, maybe your dad didn't give you everything that you wanted, or wasn't there for your Little League game that you won with the big trophy. And where was Dad, you know? You know, maybe he was working hard, you know, trying to keep the bills away and the food on the table and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So with that, I'm going to just take my leave of you all and say thank you for watching. And again, thanks to Olivier, Homeowners One, for this 50-year-old half and half. And again, God bless old pipe pops. All right, folks, that's all I have to say. Light up your world, light up your pipe, and have a great weekend. See ya.